Hello dear friends, Fisher here. Today is Valentine's Day, so I'll talk about the question I have. What is true love? And when we say, I love you, what do we mean? What is the love we talk about? I will give you an example. I once worked for a man at a farmer's market store, and he said, first, the most important thing is my family, and the second is my friends. If you think roughly, it sounds quite right. If somebody said, number one is his family, and number two is his friends. No, dear friends, he forgot to mention the number one is him, and the second is his family. You see, he married for many years, and his wife has always been the cook, cooking dishes, and he hardly cook, he hardly help. He makes pickles, if that can be sold at the farmer's market. His wife once told me that he was watching the rain while his poor wife was in the kitchen doing the cooking. So dear friends, he puts himself first, consciously or unconsciously, because he expects his wife to cook, to serve him a nice meal. Is it true love? When he says he loves his wife, does he do what he says? His family comes first. No, dear friends, his deeds said otherwise. When he expresses his love to his wife, one of the likely reasons is because his wife can cook. So he rather loves himself because he puts himself first. If he truly loved his wife, you think he wouldn't be helping his wife out in the kitchen instead of watching the rain and waiting for his meal to be served. And I say this, dear friends, without prejudice. Of course, I'm not here to criticize or condemn anybody, but I want to point out here that often the so-called I love you is very self-centered, and many times it's rather that I love me, myself, egoistic love, isn't it, dear friends? Didn't he marry his wife without first thinking about that his wife is beautiful, hardworking, and able to cook a nice meal? So the question is, why and for whom did he marry his wife? Of course, for himself. He didn't marry his wife for the sake of his wife. Yes, dear friends, I don't say this to serve a purpose, to stir up people's relationship, especially on Valentine's Day. But I want to raise everybody's awareness about their relationship, not limited to the partnership, but to any relationship in our human society. Love serves, and love does not take, and love does not demand. So what is true love? The love of the parents to their children is somewhat in a pure form, seemingly unconditional. I believe many parents put their children's interest before themselves and are willing to give everything of themselves to their children for them to have a good life. But even this form of love is heavily conditioned. I will give you an example about it. My dear mom, she loves me so much that she'll do anything for me. She'll bear the pain and sufferings for me. If she can, she'll even lay down her life for me. And she said to me, "You are a part of my flesh, coming out of my body." I know she'll not love other people's children like the way she loves me. And I did ask her this question, and she agreed with me. She said, "Surely not. You are my son." They are not. My mom loves me so much because I am her child. The deep down reason for this is that I belong to her and she takes the ownership of me, whereas she takes no ownership of others' children. Most people love their children so dearly because they are theirs in blood. Other people's children have no relations to them. That is not true love, even though the parents have shown a great affection towards their children. It is nevertheless an egoistic love, dear friends. Even the bad people love their children. So what is true love? And true love does not come from man, but comes from God. God has unconditional love to all of us, His human children. God loves everybody the same. God doesn't see difference in us in terms of our races, colors, cultures, religions. God sees us the same, whether we have high intellectual intelligence or not, whether we are physically capable or not, whether we are able to move freely or be kept in the prison. God does not define us as what we today define each other. God shows His love to all His human children and to all His beings. That is true love, the true love that was demonstrated by Jesus Christ and Bruno, who selflessly loved their fellow man more than themselves. Their life and deeds spoke for themselves. So, are we able to love each other like what Christ and Bruno did to us? The answer is yes, absolutely. But the path is very difficult because it involves so much, countless self-transformation. The process itself cannot be achieved without struggle. However, the path can be very simple too, as long as a human being is willing to let go his old ego self, which only serves his self-interest, as long as he's willing to walk on God's divine path, to let God live his life for him, to cleanse himself, his soul, with God's pure divine love, so God can really dwell within him. Once God dwells within him permanently, God's divine love will pour through him, and he will be able to love his fellow man as what God loves them. That's the time we have the true love, as we stop loving with our own love, but God loves through us. And then we can say, God and us are one divine union. So every day, dear friends, do what Bruno said. Absorb God's divine loving energy. And when we are full of God's love, everything good can happen in our lives and in our society and in this God's divine earth. So the best way to celebrate Valentine's is to love each other with God's divine love. I wish you have a good day and more love in your heart. Happy Valentine's Day and God bless.